Hey everyone, this is Six Path Weeb. Today, we're diving into an intriguing scenario. What if Naruto walked the path of cold resolve? Part 2. Before we begin, a quick disclaimer, the content on this channel is for entertainment and discussion purposes only. I do not own any of the anime footage used in my videos. All rights and credits go to their respective creators and copyright holders. Alright, let's get started. Naruko was watching as Suki slept peacefully. She had gently carried her to her room after she had dozed off in her arms. Naruko thought about the promises she had made to herself, to always do her best and protect those she cared about. She knew that her strength was still growing, and while she had a long way to go, she was determined to face any challenge with courage. I wonder, Ka-san, Naruko whispered softly, gazing out the window. If you could see me now, would you be proud of how far I've come? Two of us are Jinchuriki, one for Shukaku, and the other for Kurama. I promise I will never let Gaara, Temari, or Kankuro feel alone or burdened. I will support them however I can, and I hope I can rise to the challenges ahead. In Sunagakur. Gaara was waking up just as the sun began to rise. He glanced at his night table and saw the time, 6:17 a.m., along with two cherished pictures. One was of him with Temari, Kankuro, and Baki, and the other included Naruko and their father. He heard Shukaku grumbling from within his seal, prompting a small laugh from Gaara at the playful complaints of his companion. As he went downstairs to the kitchen, he noticed his father reading a scroll while sipping tea. Gaara, you and your older siblings will be traveling to Konoha for the upcoming Chunin exams, his father explained. From what I understand, Naruko will also be participating. Gaara nodded, picking up his mug. What is our main goal? Orochimaru approached me to propose an alliance, but we will instead assist the Leaf in maintaining peace and harmony against external threats, his father replied with a proud smile. Your mother would be proud of the responsibility you and your siblings are carrying. Back with Naruko. Naruko and the others were swiftly moving toward the heart of the rebellion. She noticed people in the trees above, observing the scene quietly, their faces hidden by masks. Naruko focused, preparing a wind-style technique, while Suki coordinated her own signature technique. At the same moment, they released their powers together. The combined efforts of Naruko, Suki, and Natsume created a powerful display of skill, neutralizing the majority of the opposition. Their allies, seeing the impressive techniques, advanced to support them. Obito and Kakashi moved quickly, channeling their energy to enhance their attacks. Rin and Mei offered support from the sidelines, coordinating and redirecting the movement of the opposing forces. Meanwhile, in the distance, a figure in an orange mask observed quietly, intrigued by the skill of Suki and Naruko. Soon, I will have my chance to test my strength against her, the masked figure thought, retreating into the shadows. Mei was captivated as Naruko displayed remarkable control over her abilities, combining her chakra with precise technique. She had yet to see the full extent of Naruko's potential. Suddenly, a new presence appeared, Utakata with 6 tails, prompting a call for caution. Naruko responded swiftly, focusing her energy to prevent Utakata from approaching too closely. She carefully controlled her powers, creating a protective barrier and showcasing a remarkable display of strength and precision. Naruko advanced with confidence, using her abilities thoughtfully to maintain balance and control in the situation. Suki observed with admiration, noticing Naruko's careful strategy and incredible coordination with her inner powers. Naruko anticipated Utakata's next move and acted decisively, demonstrating not only strength but responsibility and quick thinking. Within Utakata's mindscape, Naruko found herself in a mysterious space, sensing the influence of another strong presence. She approached carefully, noticing the situation with precision and awareness. I will not allow anyone to manipulate or harm those I care about, she declared, standing firm. A figure appeared, masked and mysterious. Another Jinchuriki has fallen into my trap, the figure said. Hand over your power, and your friends will be spared. I will never let anyone use my friends or their abilities for selfish purposes, Naruko replied firmly. I will face this challenge with courage and protect everyone. The masked figure, taken aback, was temporarily distracted, giving Naruko the chance to regain her position and ensure safety. She acted quickly, carefully managing her energy and strategies to resolve the situation without causing harm. Outside, the team watched as Naruko confidently navigated the encounter, demonstrating remarkable skill and composure. Well, that was a tricky situation, one of them remarked, impressed by her leadership and careful planning. No one spoke on the way back. They had just witnessed a stranger incapacitate Utakata with an unfamiliar technique. It was almost frustrating for Obito, He had his Sharingan active and still could not discern what had happened. The identity of the person who intervened was unknown, no one had any clue where they had come from. Mei insisted she had never seen anyone matching that description. Obito noticed that Naruko was staying unusually close to Suki, and as her guardian, he worried if it was for the right reasons. He trusted the young ninja, but whatever she had sensed in the Jinchuriki's mind had made her behave this way. Unknown to him, she was not the only one who had noticed this. Suki, meanwhile, observed that Naruko was sticking closer than ever. Not that she minded, it just felt sudden. "Naruko, what did you sense in Utakata-san's mind?" Suki asked. "It was similar to mine, except someone else was there. I don't know who it was, but she believes that Madara is not as he seems and thinks she could be stronger. She also believes Akatsuki's goal is to collect the Jinchuriki to protect them. She plans to persuade you, Suki, and is willing to use illusions to do whatever it takes. Then she left, and you saw what happened afterward." "Oh, and she had a Sharingan, but I couldn't see anything beyond that," Naruko explained. She felt uneasy about the stranger's claims, calling Madara a pretender seemed strange. How could someone who had such power be considered less? Whatever the person's problem was, it clearly revolved around Madara. At the rebel base. When the group arrived, Mei was immediately summoned to a meeting, and the others were directed to their tents. As they settled, Mei spoke with her generals. "What can you tell me about Yagura's movements since I left?" she asked. "Yagura has gathered his forces and appears to be preparing for a decisive confrontation. We cannot be certain where he plans to strike, but we have narrowed it down to a few possible locations. However, if we make the wrong decision, we risk losing everything," a man with short gray hair reported. A long-haired, orange-haired man leaned forward. "I'm more concerned about the Konoha shinobi. 3 Jinan? Are you certain this is enough? Shouldn't we have experienced ninja with them? We have Minato Namikaze, Rin Hatake, Kakashi Hatake, and Obito Uchiha, but where are the Anbu teams we need?" Mei's gaze was firm. "These Jinan are not ordinary. They are Natsume Namikaze, Suki Uchiha, and Sabaku no Naruko. They previously subdued Utakata in his full Rakubi form. They accomplished this without assistance from the Jonin. One of them is also a Jinchuriki, so they understand what we face. If anyone disagrees with my decision, speak now." Her words reminded everyone that she was the leader. "This meeting is concluded. Ao, I want you to determine Yagura's location." "Hi, Mei-sama," Ao replied, vanishing with sunshine. In Naruko's tent. Naruko lay on the cot, thinking about everything that had transpired. The words of the masked stranger weighed heavily on her mind. "Kurama, do you know what she meant by saying Madara is a pretender?" "I'm not sure, Kit. Maybe the Madara she knows is different from the one you know. Or perhaps Madara is not exactly who everyone believes. Remember, she said Madara was not the rightful leader. Could she be a rival from the Uchiha clan? And that person who attacked the Jinchuriki, her energy seemed unusual. She might be key to understanding the masked stranger," Kurama replied. "I just feel like something big is coming. We're all part of a larger game, and we barely understand it. That person's skills were incredible, much stronger than mine. I feel so small, Kurama, knowing there are others who are far more capable. Naruko, don't be discouraged. You have so much potential to grow. Focus on improvement, not defeat, or you risk losing yourself," Kurama encouraged. "Thanks, Kurama," Naruko said softly. Suki entered the tent and lay down beside Naruko. It seemed she had been sleepwalking, looking for a more comfortable place. Naruko smiled and drifted off to sleep. The next morning. Suki awoke to find herself in Naruko's tent. She was still fully dressed and realized nothing unusual had happened. She quietly left and greeted Rin outside. "Good morning, Rin-san," Suki said. "Morning, Suki-chan. Are you all right?" Rin asked. "Yes, just woke up," Suki replied. "You came out of Naruko's tent. You two didn't?" Rin began, blushing slightly. No, nothing like that," Suki reassured, blushing herself. "I see. Just remember, Naruko will defend her friends at any cost. Don't betray her trust," Rin advised. "I understand. I would never betray her," Suki said firmly as she returned to her own tent. A few hours later. Naruko was practicing her katas when she noticed a shadowy figure sneaking around the camp. A black-haired shinobi from Amiga Corps. "Hey, who are you?" she called. The figure looked startled and ran. Naruko chased quietly, ensuring no one else noticed. She activated her magnet release, creating a net of golden dust to trap the intruder. "Who are you, and why are you here?" Naruko demanded. The shinobi, slightly older than her, glared. "None of your business, Konoha ninja. I won't talk." Naruko tightened the golden dust around his arm and leg, ensuring he could not escape. "You need to answer, and it will go smoothly if you cooperate." "All right. I was sent by the Mizukage to gather intelligence on the rebels and discover who subdued Utakata," the shinobi admitted. "Why send someone from another village?" Naruko asked. "To remain unrecognized and ensure the information is believable. Sending our own would risk exposure," the shinobi replied. "When and where is the Mizukage planning an attack?" "In 2 days at midnight. I'm supposed to send updates. If the intel isn't received, he'll hold back," the shinobi said. Naruko signaled to Mei from the shadows. "Mei-sama, she's telling the truth," Naruko said. "Send the intel that the rebels are unprepared," Mei instructed, walking away. At the Mizukage's forward base. Yagura reviewed the returned intel. The rebels were not ready. Instead, they awaited Mei and the Konoha reinforcements. Yagura addressed his forces, preparing for their planned strike. 2 days later, rebel base, midnight. Yagura and her team quietly approached the camp, noticing that everyone was asleep. She gave the order to advance, but when several of her team members were unexpectedly immobilized by a mysterious force, she looked around and realized something unusual was happening. Some of the intruders were being surrounded by a black, sand-like substance. "It's a trap. Stay alert," Yagura shouted. Satetsu SOSO. The iron sand moved swiftly, restraining those it touched. From the shadows, Naruko stood confidently, a small grin on her face. "So, you're Yagura. I thought you'd be taller." Yagura scowled but kept her composure. "Very well. Let's resolve this fairly. You and I, no interference. We'll see whose skills are stronger. If you succeed, the rebels can continue their mission safely. If I succeed, peace will be maintained here." Naruko raised her arm slowly, as if lifting something incredibly heavy. All around the area, any nearby objects began to rise into the air. "My Jitten, magnet release, is one of the strongest techniques known. Even my mentors couldn't match this level of skill. Now, prepare yourself. Jitten, Hasai ha no Kimishu. Magnet release, crushing blades prison." The objects converged toward Yagura with pinpoint precision. Suten, Suijin Heki. Water release, water encampment wall. Yagura raised a shield of water, halting the incoming objects. She charged forward, her hook staff spinning, while Naruko skillfully deflected the strike with her Muramasa. "Impressive," Yagura said, narrowing her eyes. "But can you handle this? I am the Mizukage." Suten, Suryudan. Water release, water dragon. A massive water formation surged forward, but Naruko's quick thinking and clever use of her chakra allowed her to emerge unharmed. "Kurama, I need your chakra," Naruko whispered. "Understood, Naruko." In an instant, she was enveloped in 5 tails of Kurama's chakra. Yagura's eyes widened, preparing to unleash her own powerful technique, transforming into her formidable Sanbi no Kyodegame form. The two clashed, releasing incredible energy into the battlefield. "By Judama/Nanabiko Amari," they shouted simultaneously. The impact created a massive shockwave, but Naruko was protected by a shimmering fox-shaped chakra shield. As the dust settled, she carefully released the shield and the cloak of chakra, standing strong as Yagura stepped back. "I've won," Naruko said calmly, a hint of exhaustion in her posture. She then relaxed, allowing herself to rest. The rebels began to cheer. Naruko's unexpected display of skill had ended the confrontation peacefully, proving that courage and clever thinking could resolve conflicts without unnecessary harm. Former rivals celebrated together, united in the relief of peace. In a mysterious location. A masked figure and their subordinate observed news of the encounter spreading. "So, the Kyuubi's apprentice Naruko managed to outmaneuver Yagura? Interesting. But it changes little. I had my reasons for testing the Mizukage. Soon, my plans will unfold," the figure murmured, a faint smile beneath the mask as their Sharingan glimmered. The figure in the blue mask chuckled softly, satisfied with the unfolding events, then quietly withdrew. "I'll return shortly," the subordinate said. "Do as you will. It matters little," the masked figure replied. As everyone was walking back to Konoha, Suki hesitated for a moment. I know this might be a delicate time to ask, But how did Naruko manage to live in Konoha? I mean, she is the daughter of the Yondaime Kazekage? Minato sighed, then cleared his throat. Well, it's not widely known, but I originally came from Suna. When I was young, my parents separated, and I moved to Konoha with my father, while my younger sister stayed with our mother in Suna. We kept in touch for a while, but as both of us became shinobi, our paths diverged, and communication became difficult, at least until the Chunin exams. I was placed on a team with Kushina and Aviki, and she was on a team with Gareth and another puppeteer. When we finally met, it was an interesting reunion. She had become a member of Suna's Wind Mistresses, and as we talked, I realized how deeply she cared for Gareth. After the exams, we kept in contact until the Third Great Shinobi War. During that time, Gareth, who was trained by the Sandaime Kazekage, eventually became the Yondaime Kazekage, and my sister Karura and I lost touch. After the war, we rebuilt our connection, which also strengthened the ties between Konoha and Suna. Eventually, I learned that my sister had given birth to a daughter, Tamari, and later a son, Kankuro. During her next visit to Konoha, she was expecting another child and went into labor while there. During that time, an extraordinary situation arose involving the Kyuubi, and she wanted to do everything possible to help. Minato paused, reflecting on that night. Flashback. Minato rushed into the room and found Karura prepared for action. "Imoto, what are you doing? You should remain here with Naruko." Karura smiled warmly. "Perhaps, but I want to help you, Oniai-san. I want Naruko to grow up strong and safe. Besides, how can we contain the Kyuubi without careful planning? I understood that sealing it within a child might be the most effective approach." Minato exhaled, resolute. "I hadn't considered that fully yet, but I will ensure Naruko's safety. Her future depends on it." Karura nodded with determination. "And that, dear Ni-san, is why I will do my best to assist." As the siblings moved toward the location where the plan would unfold, a masked figure observed from the shadows, pondering a way to manipulate the situation for her own advantage. Then, the figure quietly vanished. Frontlines. Hiruzen, observing the disturbance, prepared to take action. "All I wanted today was a peaceful moment to honor Biwako and manage the village. But now, we face a formidable challenge." Inspired to safeguard both the village and the visiting dignitary's child, he decided to support a sealing plan that would allow Naruko to serve as a bridge between Suna and Konoha. With Minato and Karura, the siblings formulated a plan to secure the Kyuubi's energy safely. Minato prepared the necessary seals, while Hiruzen offered his assistance. "Minato, I have lived a long life. Let me contribute to this mission in a meaningful way." After careful coordination, Naruko was safely sealed with the Kyuubi's power, ensuring her safety and cementing a lasting bond between the villages. Flashback end. Silence followed as Minato finished recounting the story. To-san, Natsume spoke hesitantly, "Wouldn't it have been simpler to have the Kyuubi sealed in you? As an Uzumaki, your chakra would have been strong enough to contain it." Minato considered the question thoughtfully. "Yes. It might have been. I am not sure why we did not choose that path." Obito's eyes widened with understanding. "I think I know. You mentioned seeing a masked figure, and you and Karura decided Naruko should be the vessel, correct? Whoever that masked Uchiha is, she possesses a Mangekyo Sharingan and an extraordinary genjutsu, the Koto Amatsukami." "Koto Amatsukami?" several voices asked in unison. Obito clarified, "It's an advanced form of the Sharingan's mental influence technique. It subtly guides the target to believe the implanted ideas are their own. And this particular user seemed to employ it multiple times in a short period, far beyond the usual limits." Natsume's expression became thoughtful. "To-san, I understand why Naruko was chosen to contain the Kyuubi, but how did Kazekage-sama react to the plan?" Minato shivered slightly at the memory of Gareth's reaction, the weight of those moments still present in his mind. Second flashback. Sabaku no Gareth was seated in his office when a messenger hawk from Konoha arrived. Taking the scroll from the bird, he carefully unrolled it and read its contents. A range of emotions crossed his face: sorrow that he had missed the birth of his daughter, concern over the Kyuubi's attack that very night, frustration at the audacity of sealing the fox into his child, and finally, a steady resolve, recognizing that this was a decision that needed to be made. He rose and signaled to his guards, who followed him to the council chamber, where the councillors were engaged in heated debate over trivial matters. "I have received word from Konoha," Gareth began, commanding attention. "They were attacked a few nights ago by the Kyuubi no Kitsune. The threat was neutralized, but it came at the cost of the Sandaime Hokage's life. Baki, a council member and future mentor of the Kazekage's children, rose immediately. How was the Kyuubi neutralized? It was sealed within a child, a newborn less than 2 hours old. That child is now an essential part of Konoha and, as such, will not be able to spend much time with her father for the foreseeable future. Gareth's tone was calm but firm. Chio, another counselor, spoke up. And why will the child not be with her father? Gareth's expression softened slightly as he replied, the only child born that night was mine and Karura's daughter. The fox was sealed within my daughter, Naruko. The chamber fell silent. Konoha had made the youngest child of the Kazekage a Jinchuriki. Baki stood again, clearly concerned. Kazekage-sama, what of Karura-sama? Gareth nodded. She agreed to the decision. She believes this arrangement will strengthen our treaty with Konoha. She also noted that Naruko would be safer there than here. While my Saken is helpful in controlling the Shukaku, it would not suffice for the Kyuubi. I will travel to Konoha to reunite with my wife and finalize the details regarding Naruko's training and life. With that, Gareth rose and left the chamber, Baki following close behind. Baki, ensure Tamari and Kankuro remain safe while I am away. Baki nodded as Gareth used a shunshine to appear at the Sunagakure gates, where his Onbu guard awaited. Let's move, he instructed. Konoha, 3 days later. Gareth approached the gates of Konoha and surveyed the damage. Several sections of the city had been devastated, a testament to the sheer force of the Kyuubi's attack. Onbu personnel quickly escorted Gareth and his entourage to the Hokage Tower. Upon entering the office, Gareth saw Karura holding a red-haired girl with pale green eyes and a bright smile. Relief and warmth washed over him as he looked at his wife and daughter, before his gaze turned toward his brother-in-law with quiet intensity. After discussing the treaty and finalizing arrangements regarding Naruko's future, they agreed that she would live in Konoha but spend time in Sunagakure each year until she reached the rank of Jinan. Following this, she would remain in Konoha until she became a Chunin, at which point she would serve as a dignitary between the two nations. If Naruko ever demonstrated mastery of the Jiten, she would be granted an additional 2 months each year to train in Sunagakure. Second flashback end. That is how Naruko came to live in Konoha, Minato concluded. So how did Naruko come to know about Suki? Rin asked. Suki began. Well, it all started when Suki sat quietly, gazing into the distance while wearing her Naruko disguise. A sense of sadness weighed on her, as she thought about how her father seemed to care more about appearances than her happiness. He believed that having a daughter was a weakness, which was why she had to present herself as Naruko Uchiha. She sighed, remembering her mother's kind words, how one day, when Itachi became the head of the clan, she would be free to reveal her true self. Noticing that Itachi had been acting strangely lately, Suki reasoned that he was under stress from Onbu duties and the responsibilities of becoming clan leader. She decided to go home and see if her mother could help her train. As she arrived at the Uchiha district, she noticed how unusually quiet the streets were. Where is everyone? Perhaps Ka-san will know, she murmured to herself. Running toward her home, she remained unaware of the signs of recent unrest scattered across the streets. When Suki reached her house, she found the front door ajar, hanging awkwardly on its hinge. Ka-san? Are you home? She called. Hearing a commotion, she rushed toward her parents' room and froze at the scene before her. She witnessed Itachi confronting their parents in a tense argument. Suki's heart raced as she saw her mother and father caught in a struggle. Concerned, she stepped back and called out, "Please, everyone calm down. Fighting won't solve anything." Itachi explained in a controlled voice that the family had been divided by a misunderstanding and the pressures of leadership. Fugaku, her father, spoke about his desire for order within the clan, while Itachi expressed his concern for Suki's safety and well-being. Suki quietly absorbed the tension, realizing how complicated the responsibilities of the Uchiha could be. Outside, Shisui and Obito noticed the commotion and rushed to see what was happening. They found Itachi and Fugaku locked in an intense display of skill, testing their abilities against each other without intending harm. Flames and energy swirled in controlled patterns, and Suki watched from a safe distance, awestruck by the precision and strength of the Uchiha techniques. Shisui explained to Obito that Fugaku had been considering a plan that involved leveraging his influence within the clan. He wanted to ensure the Uchiha's future, Shisui said. But we must protect Suki and the younger members of the clan. Their safety comes first. At that moment, a masked figure appeared, observing the events unfold. He spoke to the group, acknowledging Suki's potential to shape the clan's future. Though his motives were mysterious, his presence emphasized the importance of guidance, mentorship, and protecting loved ones. Suki's eyes widened as she realized the weight of the responsibilities before her. Itachi, understanding the situation, entrusted Obito with ensuring her safety. "Teach her about strength, compassion, and the true legacy of our clan," Itachi said. "Guide her in the ways of the Uchiha, and help her understand the importance of protecting those she cares about. One day, I hope to see how strong she has become." With that, Itachi departed, leaving Obito to escort Suki to a safe place. Together, they discussed training, strategy, and the values of love, loyalty, and courage. Suki felt a renewed determination, ready to embrace her role, protect her family, and honor the legacy of the Uchiha clan in a safe and meaningful way. A few weeks later, Suki was gazing across the water at the Uchiha compound, lost in thought. She reflected on everything that had happened in recent weeks, especially the day that her sister had lost most of her family. She remembered the day Obito had told her she would need to remain hidden as Sasuke until she graduated from the academy and became a Jonin, another 8 years of concealing her true identity and gender. It was frustrating, but Suki promised herself that one day she would understand what had driven her sister to make such difficult decisions. Her thoughts were interrupted when 2 red-headed children appeared on the far side of the lake, heading toward her. "Great, more questions about my family," Suki muttered to herself. When they reached her, she prepared for their curiosity. "Want to play a game with us?" Natsume asked. "What?" Suki exclaimed, caught off guard. "I mean, sure. I'm Sasuke." Naruko narrowed her eyes. "Why aren't you telling the truth? I can sense a genjutsu around you, and beneath that, I can detect a distinctly feminine presence." Suki's eyes widened. She quickly covered her mouth, glancing around nervously. "I'll tell you. But not here, not now." The cousins nodded in understanding, and Naruko apologized for speaking so bluntly. Suki's house. The 3 young shinobi entered Suki's home. Once inside, she channeled her chakra into a seal on the wall, causing the room to glow a soft blue. "There, a privacy seal," she explained. "Anything we discuss here will stay between us, as Uncle Obito taught me." "You know Obito?" Natsume exclaimed, then blushed at her own excitement. Suki nodded, dropping the genjutsu to reveal a softer, more gentle appearance. She smiled at the 2 cousins. "Wow, you look amazing. So, what's your real name?" "Suki. Suki Uchiha," she replied, surprised when the cousins suddenly hugged her. "You may have felt alone before, but not anymore. From now on, you're part of our group. I'm Natsume Namikaze. I am Sabaku no Naruko. And you won't have to face the world alone again." Suki smiled warmly, feeling the bond forming between them. Flashback over. Suki finished recounting her story, while Obito filled in the details about that fateful night and Itachi's wishes. The masked figure had begun making moves against the elemental nations, and the young Jonin realized that intense training and missions would be essential to prepare for future challenges, including the upcoming Chunin exams. As they walked back toward the village, Naruko reflected deeply. "Hey Kurama, remember the day I awakened my Jitten?" "Of course, Naruko. I am the great Kyubi no Kitsune, you know." Yes. Very dramatic. It was a remarkable day." Flashback 2. Naruko practiced throwing kunai at a tree in a training area outside Konoha as the sun dipped low in the sky, hinting at rain. Suddenly, she noticed a figure approaching. It was an Iwa shinobi, holding Natsume. "Let her go," Naruko shouted, leaping into action. The Iwa ninja underestimated her agility, but Naruko had trained diligently. Using her quick thinking, she created clones and coordinated attacks to distract the opponent. With clever timing, she freed Natsume and guided her to safety. "You're very skilled for your age," the shinobi admitted. Naruko's quick thinking and resourcefulness had kept them both safe. Hours later. Gareth watched as Naruko rested under Tsunade and Rin's care. He asked Natsume to recount what had happened. She explained how Naruko had rescued her, using a sudden burst of chakra that resembled Gareth's gold dust technique. Kushina realized that Natsume had awakened one of the Uzumaki's Kekai Genkai, the Kagura Shingon. As a sensor type, she could detect chakra types and identities, meaning Naruko's Jitten had likely awakened at that precise moment to protect her cousin. Smiling down at his exhausted daughter, Gareth felt a deep sense of pride. Naruko had embraced the will of fire, and her courage and determination would ensure she could grow strong, surrounded by those she loved and trusted. Unbeknownst to the others, Naruko was beginning a journey that would bring her face to face with the sealed Baijuu within her, a challenge she would meet with both bravery and heart. Naruko's mindscape. Naruko walked forward and realized she was in a place that resembled a grand temple. As she approached the center, she noticed a gate, and behind it stood a massive figure. Hello, she said hesitantly. So, my warden finally decides to visit. I honestly thought you might never show up, the figure replied. So you're the QB. What's your real name? Naruko asked, noticing the creature's surprise. My real name? How did you know that it isn't just QB no Kitsune? My younger sibling holds one of your counterparts. They hold the Ichibi no Tanuki. Their name is Shukaku, correct? So, you think I consider that Tanuki as my sibling? Do you assume that because they have a name, I must have one as well? Even if I did, why would I tell a young one like you? I don't expect you to just tell me, Naruko said calmly. I was wondering what it would take for us to cooperate. I realize that the two of us are connected for the long term, and I would like to arrange an understanding between us. You are the strongest Bijou and should be acknowledged as such. With that in mind, I thought that if we trained together, not only would I become stronger, but you would also benefit by being recognized for your full potential. Consider the Hachibi no Ushioni, their Jinchuriki is known to be strong because of the teamwork they share. I thought we could do something similar, simply to showcase our strengths. At this stage, it's just a professional agreement, but it could grow into a powerful partnership in the future. Naruko paused, sitting down as she finished her explanation. You make a valid point, the QB replied. My pride desires recognition, but why shouldn't I simply take control of your body? Do you know how to use Jitten, or understand some of my traits that people would notice if I didn't manage them? And would it really be a true measure of strength if you took over now, while I'm not at my best? Wouldn't it be more satisfying to face me at my full strength? Interesting, the QB said thoughtfully. Unlike anyone I've met since the Sennin, you are wise enough to negotiate rather than confront. I accept your proposal. I will support you, but you must still train with my chakra. And as for my name, I am Kurama. Thank you, Kurama-san, Naruko said, smiling as her consciousness began returning. Your journey will be even more challenging from this point, Kurama said with a hint of amusement. I look forward to seeing what you accomplish. Back in the real world. Look, she's waking up, Natsume said, noticing Naruko's eyes flutter open. She hugged her warmly, while her father smiled proudly at them. He explained the agreement she had made with the fox spirit. Tamari playfully tapped her younger sibling on the head. Be careful. What if it didn't work and tried to take over your body? She teased. I trust the seal, and the skill of Minato-san and Kushina-san, Naruko replied confidently. Naruko, why is Shukaku upset with you? Little Gaara asked, climbing beside her. He says mean things. It's not me he dislikes, Gaara. It's Kurama, Naruko said, gently ruffling her little brother's hair. Now, I'm ready to rest. Before you do, Naruko, Gareth said, you'll be spending an extra 2 months in Suna for advanced Jitten training. And Pakura-san misses you. Understood, To-san, Naruko replied. Flashback reflection. Naruko and Kurama often laughed together when recalling how they first met. Over time, their connection grew from acquaintances to friends, and eventually, they became like siblings. Naruko hadn't yet mastered the full power of the 9 tails. She planned to wait until she overcame Kurama in the seal before the Chunin exams began. She had roughly 5 months until the qualifiers and 7 months until the main exams. The world better be ready, Naruko of the Gold Dust was going to make a remarkable impression at the Chunin exams. As the group concluded their journey from Kiri to Konoha, their minds were heavy with questions, chief among them, the identity of the masked figure, the significance of Shisui's hidden eye, and ways to strengthen their abilities. With only 5 months remaining until the Chunin exam qualifiers, the pressure on the Jinan was palpable. Yet, after the strenuous challenges faced during the rebellion in Kiri, all they truly desired was to return home and rest. Minato instructed everyone to head home while he went to report their mission's success, and more importantly, the encounter with the masked figure, Tsunade. As the teams dispersed, Natsume walked home, contemplating her cousin and teammate. Suki was eager for some much-needed sleep, while Naruko made her way toward Anko's apartment. Kakashi, Rin, and Obito decided to stop by the bar. As Minato passed through the village, he overheard villagers discussing the upcoming Chunin exams and noting that all 5 major villages would be represented. A few mentioned the Uchiha heir with ill-advised assumptions, a reminder of the scrutiny she had endured before revealing the truth. He reached the Hokage's tower and stepped inside. "Tsunade-sama, how are you liking the hat?" he asked with a light smile. Tsunade looked up with mild exasperation. "It's quite something. I don't know how you managed to complete all the paperwork." She paused, noticing the determined glint in his eye. "What news do you bring?" "Mission accomplished," Minato began. "Yagura and Utakata have been neutralized, and Kirigakure is gradually regaining stability. During the mission, we encountered a masked individual who identified as an Uchiha." He paused as Tsunade's expression sharpened. Though masked, it was determined that this individual played a key role in historical events affecting both the sealing of the Kyuubi and the Uchiha clan's past actions. They also mentioned something about Madara being a pretender. Tsunade considered the information, then clasped her hands beneath her chin. "Should I reconsider the bounty on Itachi?" "No," Minato replied. "Keep it active, but adjust it so it is awarded for capturing him alive only." Tsunade nodded, gazing out the window. Team 7 will receive payment for an S-rank mission, but they should begin taking D-rank missions to remain eligible for the Chunin exam qualifiers. 1 week of rest will be granted before I assign the next missions. You are dismissed. Minato left promptly, pondering quietly, what could this masked Uchiha mean by calling Madara a pretender? Was there something unknown about my rival? At Anko's apartment, Naruko knocked gently. When there was no immediate response, she knocked again. Just as she considered leaving, Kurenai opened the door, visibly surprised. "What brings you here?" Kurenai asked. "I came to see Anko," Naruko replied calmly. She noticed the tension in Kurenai's expression. Kurenai hesitated before speaking. "Anko mentioned your recent interactions with her and Uchiha-san. I tried to warn her, but..." She stopped as a sudden surge of energy emanated from Naruko. "You told her what?" Naruko's voice was firm but controlled. "I care about Anko, and I want her to trust me. Why would you give her the wrong impression?" With that, Naruko stepped past Kurenai and headed to Anko's room. Inside, Anko stirred at the sound of Naruko's voice. "So, you're back. Did you enjoy your time with the others?" Her eyes were slightly red from crying. "Are you here to say it's over between us?" Naruko approached and gently shook her head. "No, Anko. Nothing like that. I care about you, and that hasn't changed. Whatever you've heard, you have to know the truth, my feelings haven't wavered." Anko searched Naruko's eyes for sincerity, finding only honesty. Then, "Stay with me," she whispered. Naruko smiled and settled beside her, pulling the covers over them both. Hearing this, Kurenai quietly left, locking the door behind her. Meanwhile, at the Namikaze residence, Natsume entered her room and locked the door, offering a brief greeting to her mother before burying her face into a pillow. The past few weeks had been exhausting due to their involvement in the civil conflict. Yet the true struggle lay within herself, her thoughts kept returning to her cousin, Naruko. "Stop it, brain," she muttered softly. "These feelings. They're confusing. He would think I'm strange if he knew." From the other side of the door, Kushina asked gently, "Are you all right in there?" Natsume took a deep breath. "Yes, Mom. I'm fine. Why do you ask?" "Well," Kushina said, "you just came back from a mission and barely acknowledged the victory ramen I made. I suspected something was bothering you. And now I think it might be personal. Do you want to talk about it?" "I'd rather not," Natsume replied softly, curling further into her pillow. One of those things, then? How about coming downstairs and having some ramen with me before your dad gets home? And if you want to talk afterward, I'll be happy to listen," Kushina said warmly. Despite Natsume's initial reluctance, her rumbling stomach and Uzumaki energy couldn't resist. She dashed out of her room, nearly bumping into her mother, and shouted, "I bet I can eat more than you." Kushina chuckled and ran after her. "Not a chance, dear." Once they reached the dining room and began a friendly competition to see who could eat more ramen, Kushina decided it was time to gently ask what had been troubling her daughter. "So, what's been on your mind?" she asked. "Well, I recently started noticing someone." Natsume hesitated. "Has that person noticed you too?" "He has, but I worry he might think I'm strange if he knew how I felt. He might even pull away if he understood." "I see. And who is this special someone my daughter has noticed?" "Ka-san, it's Naruko," Natsume whispered, barely audible. Kushina paused, a bit surprised. "Well, I wasn't expecting that," she admitted, quickly realizing it made sense. Natsume had grown up around her cousin Naruko but had spent enough time apart to recognize her feelings were different from a sibling bond. Natsume, I may not fully understand why you feel this way, but I will support you. Your Uzumaki heritage means that any usual complications aren't a concern. And I've read that even notable ancestors like Mito-sama and Hashirama-sama had similar family connections. Follow your heart. Natsume's eyes glistened with unshed tears, and she hugged her mother tightly. Thank you for understanding. I don't think I could have handled it otherwise. They pulled apart and spent the rest of the evening recounting stories from the war, laughing and sharing memories. The next morning, at Anko's apartment. Sunlight streamed through the curtains, stirring the pair awake. A soft groan escaped the sleepy Tokubutsu Jounin, but she smiled as she realized she wasn't alone. Naruko was beside her. She gently rubbed the whisker-like marks on Naruko's face, eliciting a content purr and awakening him fully. Their eyes met, seafoam green and warm brown, and they shared a joyful smile. So, my Hebiheim, would you like to spend the day together? Naruko asked. Absolutely, Naruko-kun. When should I be ready? As soon as we're prepared this morning. Let's make it a day to remember, Naruko suggested with a grin. Anko quickly got ready, sending a message to Ibiki that she was taking the day off. Naruko retrieved a change of clothes he had kept in her dresser for her overnight stays. Hearing Anko humming in the bathroom, he reflected on how special the day ahead would be and decided to let her lead the activities while he covered all the costs. A knock at the door interrupted their preparations. Naruko opened it to find Minato standing there. Naruko, you have the week off before we start a busy schedule with D-rank missions. Enjoy this time, because we'll need to work extra hard afterward to qualify for the Chunin exams, Minato explained. Naruko nodded as he left. Returning to the room, she noticed Anko tying her hair into a ponytail. Who was at the door? She asked. Minato Oji-san. He said our team has the week off, but after that, it'll be a busy stretch before the Chunin exams. So this day has to be special, we won't get another chance like this for a while. Anko smiled and nodded, and Naruko headed to the bathroom to complete her morning routine. Indeed, the day ahead promised to be unforgettable. Dear YouTube family. This is all for now. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel to stay updated with more content. Thank you for your support. Regards. Six Path Weeb. Stay curious, keep exploring, and remember, every path leads to growth.